We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the...
Hey guys, so as you see in this stitch, is that I found this video of like this billionaire or multinational corporation openly admitting that he needs to see the economy fall and people lose their jobs. And it's kind of what we actually like if you look at history and if you look at how corporations are supposed to work, this is exactly how they're supposed to work. Because people go, oh, capitalism, it breeds conflict, which makes the world better, and having all this competition will make sure everyone has a good life and all that stuff. Which is funny, because literally after World War II, most countries decided, well, literally all countries decided, liberal or conservative parties decided they needed some sort of welfare state because of how bad the world was getting, and they thought it would be best for everybody. And it was. And some countries aren't doing that well of it, like in the US and Canada. We're doing okay, but like we're not that good. And basically what I mean by that is that corporations are not in for your own good. They're not trying to help you, they're trying to make profit. And it's in this way, well, I don't know how anyone in the right mind could see how capitalism is good, because it's essentially putting profit over people. And this is exactly what this guy is talking about. He's saying people are getting too comfortable, there's too many strikes going on, and it's kind of what I say about capitalism adapting itself and being able to rely. And it's kind of funny, these unions and strikes, what they don't realize is that it's technically working for capitalism, because instead of saying, I want to completely destroy you because you are destroying my life, it's let me try and adapt you and make you better, which is clearly impossible. And it's what, I know people like unions. I've never been a union person. I don't like unions because I find that they've become worse than actual corporations. Like, they take your money and they don't really give you too much. And they're always making you go on strike, and you're forced to strike. And sometimes you're on strike for so long. Like, I remember I had a teacher, because I'm in Ontario, so teachers strike quite often. And she was always so upset that she had to strike, but she was forced to because it's in her contract. And I just never liked it, especially because it supports capitalism in that sense. But what the guy is saying is, he ultimately, he's probably a libertarian, and of course they will hate unions. And so the hatred of unions is that we need to make sure people don't do this. Like, my grandmother is from Scotland, and she's actually from Dundee. And basically, there was a time where she was working at this business, and these people tried to go on strike. And apparently it happened a lot of places too, where they try and go on strike, so then the corporation, it's usually a private corporation, decides to fire them all and go, we will rehire you if you decide to sign a non-strike or non-union clause in your contract. And generally most people do. And it's like this thing of going, oh, unions are great and it's because they've let you have the power, and now the thing is not going well. And it's the same thing as why we're seeing multinational corporations not doing work in the countries that their citizenship, like the CEOs of their country or where they're building from, they generally don't have that type of workers. Like Rogers or all these big corporations, the only workers they have is like sales associates or business like top higher employment. But people actually make the materials, and they're always in countries with poor economy, and so then they have really lax workers' laws. And it's why, to make sure that they at least keep the government afloat, and generally in these types of areas, they give the president or prime minister or whatever, they give them a little bit of money to make sure that they do not change their tax law, that they don't change their worker laws, so that they can work the people to the bone and earn as much profit. Because generally, they still make a good profit. if they actually gave decent wages and did a livable and did decent and had a really suitable environment, like it's not a dangerous or hazardous environment. And it's generally the same thing. Like, the only reason why we still do fossil fuels, and the only reason why we haven't done so much like mechanization, is one, cost, and the second is people care about, like I was saying, cost, and people don't want to lose their jobs. So we keep things that aren't that good and is destroying the earth because people care more about jobs in the economy, and it's what this system does. And I do it myself. Like, I'm the type where I may not support the system, but I will follow it because that's the world I live in. So in my view, I don't have to care, like, all this volunteering. I've never understood volunteering. I don't volunteer. Because why? Why would I waste my time doing something that doesn't give me any benefit and doesn't give me money? Why would I do that? Unless I have so much money, why would I volunteer? Like, I don't care about my conscience. Like, I don't care. I'd rather be making money. And so, it's generally, like, some business, they even go, well, you can volunteer and we'll pay for you. Like, what? Why? I'd rather do my job. And it's kind of like, I just don't understand it in this world, because why? Like, this world is this capitalism. Is if you follow it, nothing should be this way because we're supposed to be making money. And this is what bothers me about capitalism, is how much cognitive dissonance and hypocrisy there is, especially when we talk about how the world being so democratic and so great in capitalism helps everyone, when generally in America it's the worst for lobbying, basically. And it's why a lot of people say it's not for the people, because businessmen are basically buying Congress members or senators or the president itself and basically make them do their bidding because they're paying the money. And it's not as bad as in Canada, but it's still there in any capitalist country, is money speaks. And of course there are the exceptions who won't destroy their values, but generally people will do a whole lot for money, and I understand that. I'd probably do the same thing myself. So it's why I say, like, I'm not a saint. I'm not the best person. Like, I will follow these principles that have been set out for me, even though they're horrible. But that's why I'm saying we need to get rid of it. And the thing is, choices, like, the whole thing is captain's about, well, we need to give everyone a choice. To be honest, like, psychologists even, it's all about free will and free choice. Like, it's not even a debate anymore, because people are like, well, not really, because you're born in an environment, and generally, except a few exceptions, you'll never get out of it. And it's like those billionaires that started out in their parents' garage. You know what they had to do to make their way up in the world? They had to step on other people and cut them back and make sure that they can get to the top. Well, it's a cutthroat environment, and not everyone's set up to that. Like, billionaires are no saints, and most people generally can't do that stuff. But for the people that can, they need to be restrained. And it's why I've also promoted that a social credit system or some sort of, because even in education, the amount of bullying that goes on in schools and the amount of laws that, or bylaws that aren't really followed, because people know that no one really cares about it, no one's really following it, and of course it's not really an ideology and so done. Like, of course, you can try and make sure people have that ideological movement inside them and try and teach them how to do it, but generally, if you don't do that while also having harder codes, then of course people are going to do it because they don't care. And that's why it's why, even though a lot of my methods are radical and people are correct in saying it's a bit hard, is because I think that's what we need in this society. And I think it's exactly what we need, because look at the opposite. In the world we're living in, people go, well, I can just get your job off because you're not working hard enough.